Have you ever felt like something was holding you back from reaching your full potential? Like an invisible force was silently sabotaging your efforts, chipping away at your confidence and drive? This isn't some abstract philosophical dilemma. It's deeply rooted in the reality of our lives. It's about those insidious, often unnoticed toxic traits that weave their way into our thoughts and behaviors, hindering our personal and professional growth. We're talking about the unchecked self-doubt that whispers you're not good enough, the procrastination that keeps us chained to our comfort zones, the negative self-talk that poisons our minds, and the paralyzing fear of failure that prevents us from even trying. And let's not forget the insidious impact of toxic relationships, those soul-sucking connections that drain our energy and leave us feeling depleted and defeated. But here's the good news: you are not powerless against these internal saboteurs. Recognizing them is the first step, shining a light on these shadowy patterns that have kept you tethered to mediocrity for far too long. And once you see them clearly, you can start the challenging but ultimately liberating process of dismantling these self-imposed barriers, brick by psychological brick. Self-doubt, that nagging voice whispering tales of inadequacy, is perhaps the most pernicious of these internal saboteurs. It takes root in the fertile ground of our insecurities, convincing us that we lack the ability, the intelligence, the inherent worth to pursue our goals, let alone achieve them. We begin to question our every move, second-guess our decisions, and ultimately, we hesitate, we falter, and ultimately, we fail to even step onto the battlefield of our own lives. But what if we dared to challenge this insidious inner critic? What if we refused to accept its pronouncements as gospel? See, true confidence isn't about arrogance or an inflated ego. It's about cultivating an unwavering belief in our capacity to learn, to grow, and to adapt. It's about recognizing that we don't need to have all the answers up front, that setbacks and failures are not signs of weakness, but rather opportunities for growth and learning. Begin by setting small, achievable goals and celebrate your victories, no matter how insignificant they may seem. Each accomplishment, each hurdle overcome, nourishes your self-belief, chipping away at the foundations of doubt. And remember, you are not alone in this struggle. Every human being, no matter how outwardly confident, has grappled with self-doubt at some point in their lives. So embrace the challenge, face your doubts head-on, and remember, the hero's journey always begins with a single step into the unknown. Procrastination, that seductive temptress who lures us with the promise of ease and comfort, only to leave us drowning in a sea of guilt and unfinished tasks. We've all been there, haven't we? Trapped in that cycle of avoidance, telling ourselves, "I'll start tomorrow," while knowing full well that tomorrow will bring nothing but the same hollow promises. But let's be clear, procrastination is not a harmless indulgence. It's a thief in the night, stealing our time, our productivity, and ultimately our potential. It thrives in the shadows of disorganization and poor time management, whispering sweet nothings in our ears while we scroll through social media, watch another episode of that mindless show, anything to avoid the discomfort of real, meaningful work. So how do we break free from this insidious cycle? Start by reclaiming control of your time. Implement a structured schedule that prioritizes important tasks. Break down large, daunting projects into smaller, more manageable steps, and hold yourself accountable for completing them. And most importantly, identify your personal procrastination triggers, those seductive distractions that lead you astray, and develop strategies to neutralize their power. Remember, the key to overcoming procrastination lies in action, in taking those first, often difficult steps, even when every fiber of your being is screaming for you to stay put. Our minds are powerful instruments, capable of both incredible creation and devastating destruction. And nowhere is this more evident than in the way we talk to ourselves, in the silent narratives that shape our perceptions, our beliefs, and ultimately, our reality. Negative self-talk, that incessant inner critic that berates us for our mistakes and amplifies our perceived shortcomings, can be absolutely crippling. It undermines our confidence, fuels anxiety and depression, and keeps us trapped in a cycle of self-sabotage. But here's the liberating truth. We have the power to change the channel, to rewrite the script that plays out in the theater of our minds. Cultivating a positive inner dialogue isn't about naively ignoring our flaws or challenges. It's about approaching ourselves with the same kindness and compassion we would extend to a loved one. It's about challenging those negative thought patterns, reframing setbacks as opportunities for growth, and focusing on our strengths rather than dwelling on our perceived weaknesses. Start by becoming aware of your inner critic's voice. When you catch yourself engaging in negative self-talk, challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself, is this really true? Or would I say this to a friend? Replace those negative pronouncements with positive affirmations, statements that reinforce your worth and capabilities. Our society often glorifies success while demonizing failure, branding it as something to be avoided at all costs. But what if we've got it all wrong? What if instead of fearing failure, we embraced it as an essential ingredient in the recipe for growth and achievement? Think about it. Every great artist, inventor, entrepreneur, every individual who has left an indelible mark on the world has encountered their fair share of setbacks and failures. The difference is, they didn't allow those experiences to define them. They viewed them as opportunities for learning, for refinement, for course correction. The key is to shift our perspective, to stop viewing failure as an endpoint, but rather as a stepping stone on the path towards success. Embrace it as an opportunity to learn from your mistakes, to identify areas for improvement, and to refine your approach. Don't be afraid to experiment, to take risks, to step outside of your comfort zone, even if it means stumbling along the way. Remember, the only true failure is the failure to learn, to grow, to evolve. We are, as the saying goes, the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Our relationships have a profound impact on our thoughts, our beliefs, and ultimately, our trajectory in life. And while the importance of positive relationships is often emphasized, we must also be mindful of the insidious influence of toxic individuals. Toxic relationships can take many forms. They might involve constant negativity, criticism, and judgment, leaving you feeling drained and demoralized. They might be characterized by manipulation, control, and a lack of respect for your boundaries. Or they might simply be relationships that no longer serve your growth, holding you back from evolving into the best version of yourself. The first step in neutralizing the impact of toxic relationships is to identify them. Take an honest inventory of your social circle. Who uplifts you, inspires you, supports your growth? And conversely, who drains your energy, fuels your insecurities, or holds you back from pursuing your goals? Setting boundaries is crucial. This might involve limiting contact, asserting your needs, or even walking away from relationships that are detrimental to your well-being. Surround yourself with individuals who believe in your potential, who challenge you to grow, and who reflect the values you aspire to embody. So there you have it. We've shone a light on those insidious, toxic traits that hold us back: self-doubt, procrastination, negative self-talk, fear of failure, and toxic relationships. But remember, awareness is just the first step. The real work, the real transformation happens when we choose to actively combat these internal saboteurs. It's about taking ownership of our thoughts, our actions, and the relationships we cultivate. It's about embracing the messy, often challenging but ultimately rewarding journey of personal growth. It's about realizing that we are not defined by our past mistakes or our perceived limitations, but rather by our willingness to learn, to grow, and to strive for a better future. Remember, the only limits in life are the ones you set yourself. So go out there, break free from the shackles of these toxic traits, and unlock the boundless potential that resides within you. The only limits in life are the ones you set yourself. Unknown.